What's good, YouTube? I'm here today to tell you my top 7 baits for winter bass fishing. So we're gonna start off with the vibrating jig. Now I like to run a sexy shad or a shad colorway. This is a really good bait for targeting deep spots and running it pretty slow right now, since these bass are so lethargic and they don't really feel like chasing, bait, and they're just kind of lazy. So this is a really good bait just to kind of running off the bottom and vibrating off the bottom. And me personally, out of my fishing experiences, when I target deep spots and when I run it slow, I catch some big ones. So this is a really good bait for the winter time. Where I'm at in Texas, this is a really good bait right now in ponds and deeper ponds, and vegetation's covered. Moving on to the next bait we're getting out is gonna be, I'm not sure if this is it should be a flat-sided crankbait. Is gonna be, I'm not sure if this is it should be a flat-sided crankbait, but I don't think I have any. But just a square bill or flat-sided crankbait. These are really good during the winter as well, diving from 6 to 8 feet and targeting these, kind of mid-water level conditions. Now, whenever I use these crankbaits, I usually use them when it starts to warm up, because that's when those bass get a little bit more active. But I like to target some kind of mid-water level spots, and of course I love that shad colorway. That's just what they're chasing now. But this is a really good bait it's a really good moving bait to target some bass, and you'll probably most likely catch some on this bait right here. But this is a really good bait if you're looking to cover area in some mid-water calm areas. I like to fan cast with it, but you can do whatever. This is just a really good bait during the winter time. On to the next bait. We have the lipless crankbait. This is the Aruku shad from Spro, but this is really good because it's a really fast-moving crankbait, and it can rip through some grass, but it's also going to trigger these bass because of the rattles in them. And I like to target, I like to fan cast with them and target some deep spots. But I really like to fish this bait because it's really exciting, and it's really going to get those winter bass really moving, especially for this bait, because it's very flashy and it's just a fish catcher. But there's not much said to it. Lipless crankbait, definitely going to work. Moving on to the next bait here. For me personally, I think the swim jig here, this is the Bass Pro XPS swim jig. This really works for me during the winter time, just because it's a slow moving bait, very similar to our vibrating jig here, just without the blade, and it's a lot more weedless because of the skinnier head. I like to target, also I love targeting deeper spots because that's where those bigger bass hang out, and that's where you can catch your PB, obviously. But usually using these swim jigs, you can target some grass and really catch those fish that are just hanging out there. And I like to run it slow off the bottom on those colder days, but you're guaranteed a lot of bites with this. You guys can check out this bait at Bass Pro. Most of my baits are from Bass Pro, but really the swim jig is really good just for also covering area. But for me in this colder time, since these bass are lethargic, I like to, run it a lot slower and kind of cover more area, but run it in weeds and stuff. But that's my preference. Moving on to the next bait, we have the jerkbait. Now, not only this is a jerkbait, this is a suspending jerkbait from Bass Pro, obviously, but this is really good for these bass on those colder days because they are very lethargic, very lazy, and they don't want to chase bait. But this is really going to catch their eye because if you do, a twitch, you let it sit a little, you're gonna get smashed with this. Especially last winter, I caught a lot of bass with the jerkbait, but this jerkbait right here is really gonna work. Even suspending in that water column, getting in those deeper spots, you're really gonna have some big bass come and get it. These are really gonna entice these fish and gonna motivate them to come eat your bait, and you should catch a lot of fish with these. But the suspending jerkbait is one of my winter favorites, and it's a fish catcher. Let's say that. Moving on to the next bait here, and the final last bait is obviously, a finesse flipping jig here. The ponds that I fish some, dirtier waters, but what works for me is a black and blue / purple kind of jig here, and kind of, targeting these, maybe some shallow spots. I like to target shallow spots and some of those deeper spots with structure. Now, structures are really main key here in the wintertime because, all these baits that I mentioned, like the vibrating jig and the swim jig and some of the crankbaits, I like to target structure because that's where most of those bigger bass hang out. Now, like the smaller bass, they usually hang out more shallow. That's what I've noticed. You might disagree with me, but the bigger bass usually hang out in those deeper drop-off points because it's just warmer down there, and that's just kind of where they hang out. I don't know. But really, this good flipping jig here, it's really slow. It's a slow-moving bait. Since these bass are really lazy and lethargic, you're gonna catch these. You're gonna catch some bass with this. I'm gonna guarantee that. But it's really gonna entice those fish because they're not gonna know what that is. But it's gonna be super easy. It's gonna be super easy for them to eat, and just a really good overall bait. The next bait that we're gonna bring out is the minnow. I like to use this around deep points as well, really dragging it across the bottom and almost kind of jigging it and giving it some couple pops. This is really good during the winter, especially giving it something that looks like, it just makes it look like a dying shad. Sorry guys, it's been a long day. Makes it look like a dying shad, and just really enticing those bass to just go eat it, man. It's just really good bait just to target on drop-offs and just target in deep spots. But we're gonna go on to the next bait. These baits right here are my preference. Again, I'm not like an MLF champion or I'm not an expert, but these baits right here I use and I catch fish with them. Obviously, you see in the videos. But these are my main bass baits that I use, with my medium heavy setups and my finesse setups. But thank you guys for watching, and I hope you enjoyed today's video. I'm going to try to release a video tomorrow with the new GoPro, and I really hope that you guys take from this and learn from it. So I'll see you guys in the next one.